Welcome to Module 1, everyone. And what we're going to talk about here is what we're going to talk about. We're going to go right back to the beginning. What is menopause? Is there a timeline? What's happening? I don't know how many conversations I've had with women through the years where they were 42, 43, 44 years old, and they were having pretty obvious signposts for perimenopause, and they'd go to see their doctor, and the doctor would say, "You're too young, go away, go home." So it's kind of important to understand the timeline for female development. We're also going to talk about common misconceptions and terminology, and we're going to understand this big question a bit more about what the heck is going on. And then in addition to that, we've got some information sheets for you. One of them is terminology, and the other one is what is menopause. So that's what lies await for this module, the what and why and when of menopause. So very important. It's just part of the natural aging process. That's all it is. And menopause occurs when a woman's period stops for 12 consecutive months. Now, the interesting thing about that is, let's say you don't have a period for 6 months and then you have a period again. Well, the clock starts again. So generally speaking, it's that 12 consecutive months that's used. Now, is it the same for every single woman everywhere in the world? No. But if you use that as sort of a reference point, it's a pretty good one. And the average age of reaching menopause is 51 years old. That's in North America. It's slightly different around the world, but it's going to be somewhere around 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Somewhere in there is the menopause, meaning that your period has stopped for 12 consecutive months. So let's talk about some misconceptions. It's not an age, not at all. It's a process. It's, again, we call it a journey without a roadmap because it's not like menstruation when, your period started and you went, oh, okay, I get it. It's not like that at all. It's pretty blurry. It's pretty gray. There is no definitive sort of point in time. In fact, a lot of women sort of look behind them and they go, oh, that was menopause. So just to give you a bit of a heads up. So often you don't even know what's happening. Now, there's also a controversy, I want to call it, maybe it's a conversation, not a controversy, about should you seek help for the symptoms that some of us go through. And depending on your symptoms or what you're going through, there's absolutely no reason to feel badly about seeking help for treatment options. That seems kind of goofy to me. And I think the reference point, when we get into treatment options, the important thing to remember is your quality of life. How is your quality of life being impacted? If your treatment options, so for example, if you're only getting 2 hours of sleep a night and you can't function, that is severely impacting your quality of life and you need to get help. On the other hand, if you're having one hot flash a day and okay, maybe you don't need to seek treatment options for that. It's really up to you. In any case, no sign of weakness to ask for help or to ask questions. Now, this is another misconception about menopause. It doesn't mean your sex life is coming to an end. I think that it's relatively common for women to undergo so many other things in their life at their time of life. Having the energy to kind of care about it, I think it tends to drop off the radar. So one of the questions I would ask is, there's really no evidence, that at least that I'm aware of, that says that your sex life should drop off, that your sex drive is completely disappearing due to menopause. However, in real life, perhaps it is. So take a look, if this is happening to you, take a look at what else is happening in your life. It may not be your hormones, so take a look at that. And here's our timeline. If you're under 40, chances are you're premenopause. Everything is happening the way it normally should. So basically from the time you started menstruation to approximately 40, that is premenopause. Generally speaking, between 40 and 50, you're going to enter what's called perimenopause, and that is your body preparing yourself for the end of your menstrual flow. So that's perimenopause, and that's generally the stage in life that seems to cause some issues. And then between 50 and 60, you're postmenopause, often referred to as menopause and or postmenopause, generally considered to be the same thing. So premenopause is your reproductive period. So you're able to have children. Everything is sort of working the way nature intended it. And it's usually around age 40, although there is something called premature menopause or surgical menopause. But if we leave those issues aside for the moment, generally speaking, premenopause is under age 40. Perimenopause is the menopause transition. It's your reproductive life is it's changing, and there are irregularities there. And that's, again, like the little clock said, generally speaking, between 40 and 50. Now, menopause, also known as postmenopause, I'm going to reinforce this a couple of times, but your menstrual cycle has stopped for 12 consecutive months, somewhere around age 50. The important thing to know here is that if you're not completely menopausal, okay, your period hasn't stopped for 12 months, you can get pregnant. And that is not uncommon that women will get pregnant at this stage in life. So let's take a moment to reflect on where you're at here in the timeline. Are you still in the reproductive years? Are you entering that transition, or you're in that transition of perimenopause? And what's that look like if you are there? Is it going okay? Or are there some kind of weird things starting to happen? We're going to talk more about the weird things. So here's those education pieces I was talking about. Let's move on to Module 2.